Evening, folks. Hello, how you doing? Here again for another kitchen hacks this week. And today, as promised, we'll be returning to what we did around like 6 weeks ago and doing a kind of tomato sauce, but we're spicing it up a bit, literally, and we're going to make a sweet potato chili. So lovely roasted sweet potato, and again, as I say, a bit of chili, but not fresh powder, so we're keeping it nice and simple. Okay, so if you're scared off by the thought of sweet potato and all that stuff, don't be. You can get it, as I say, cheap if you look in the slightly larger supermarkets, or you can use basically butternut squash or just loads of carrots, or anything really will do. But sweet potatoes taste absolutely fantastic, so I really recommend these guys. Okay, so basically we're going to get cracking, and along the way I'll just ramble along. But pretty much for this dish, as I say, there's not really much that you need. First things first, turn your oven on, because we're going to be using one of these trays, a nice baking tray, and we're going to be using basically a kind of saucepan or anything that you can basically chuck all your stuff in and make a sauce out of. Okay? So, bear with me, guys. First things first. Turn your oven on, okay, to basically 200 degrees or 180 if you're on a fan oven, and you want to keep that, you want to basically turn that on, and then now we'll prepare our vegetables, and then we can put these in the oven. First thing first, really, you want your sweet potato roasting in the oven, and we're going to mix it in with our lovely tomato sauce that we're going to make in a bit, okay? So basically what you need for this dish is one kind of big sweet potato, as you can kind of maybe see, size comparison. It's kind of the size of a couple of fists, essentially. It's quite large, this one, but again, a couple, maybe 3 smaller ones, that'll do. This is a portion for feeding around 4 people, maybe 6 if you're going for smaller portions. Again, the great thing about this dish is it freezes well, it refrigerates well, can be reheated really well. So it's a great student dish. And I cooked it all the time, and similar sorts of meals to this. So, with your sweet potato, bit of an ugly looking fellow, but you see all these knobbly bits, cut them off, but don't peel the whole thing, because you've got all the nutrients there in that skin. So don't let them go to waste, guys. And there we go. All right, so 1 sweet potato and 1 peppers, maybe 2 peppers if you got them. But again, 1 is sufficient. 1 onion, or a couple of small ones like I've got here. I'm going to put a couple of carrots in here because I like carrots, but you don't need to. Basically, it's just sweet potato, pepper, onion, and if you want that kind of Mexican influence, then you'll need some red kidney beans. They can get them really cheap in the supermarkets, perhaps less than 50p, as I say. Or chickpeas, those will also do really well, or haricot beans, basically any of the tinned beans. Apart from baked beans, really, I wouldn't recommend those, but that pretty much is it, okay? So, first things first, I'm going to chop this up. I'm going to chop the sweet potato up into kind of smallish chunks, really. Obviously, the larger you cut it, the more it's going to take, the longer it's going to take in the oven. So, just something to remember. And if you've got quite a large sweet potato like this, it can be quite tough to kind of get the knife into. Just make sure when you're cutting, a little cutting tip, make sure that the point of your knife is always down on the board, and then you kind of hinge it, up and down like that. Don't just go like that. Don't go like that. Make sure the point is downwards and kind of slide forward from that tip. Okay. So we've cut it into a couple of bits here. Now you can cut that bit basically in half, like that, and into quarters if you wish. Again, I'm not really trying to make this perfect. If you've watched this before, you'll know we're not about perfection here, we're just about getting the job done, keeping it nice and simple. You've got kind of quarters here, bits and bobs. Hello to those popping in. I can't see your names without looking too close, but let me send the wave your way. So, again, we want chunks of sweet potato, but not too big. So, just keep chopping these bits, doesn't take too long. And in a minute, the magic will happen. All right, there we go. And as I say, you can use carrots, you can use I don't know, squash, turnips, Swedes, all those things you can use in this dish. The sweet potatoes, very nice. Okay, so we're nearly there. So you can obviously microwave these if you want to speed things up, because it will take a little while to get these all nice and roasted, but that's okay. 45 minutes tops, really, I'd say. Depends how crispy you want your sweet potato to be. Let's say if you're in a rush, microwave it. That's pretty much what I would recommend. And chop them smaller as well, that makes things easier. So let me show you, there we go. You see that? Quite small little chunks, that's pretty much all you need in terms of the size of these chunks here. Okay, so let me show you before we go to the next stage. Here we go. So as you can see, got all our sweet potatoes kind of cubes. They're all different sizes. Doesn't matter too much. Don't worry about it. I mean, this is a bit big, so we're going to chop this up a teeny bit. But then you want to just put them on your tray and put your seasoning on, really. And this is where you get your lovely sweetness in this dish. Where basically what you can do is just tip that onto your tray. Oh, one got away. There you go. Oh, not getting away. Okay, so there we go. So just spread them all out. Don't worry about face up or whatever, or what bits and bobs, just like that. There you go. So then just pour over some oil, or if you can get one of these little sprays, you can get these quite cheaply, then they are quite useful because you just, and you've sprayed the sweet potato nice and quick. That's one tip I'd give if you want to use less oil as well, healthier and generally less messy. Less wasteful as well, so you're spending less because you're using less oil. So just kind of spray that on there. Remember, you can add oil, but you can't take away really, because it kind of, things can taste too oily, but there you go. So a few sprays of that. It's trial and error, okay? So, bit of pepper, a few shakes of that. 2, and a little bit of salt, sprinkle that. There you go, sprinkle that. And again, if you don't want to put salt on there, you don't have to, it will still taste delicious without it. Now, paprika, I'd really recommend. Again, I used it the other week for risotto, so here we go. We're already using it again. That just shows how good it is. Okay, so a bit of paprika. Again, any old cheap paprika will do the trick well. Just a little bit of that. There you go. Use that up. And tiny bit of chili, not too much. So this isn't where the hot part comes in. You just want a little bit of that. So there's not much coming out there. And basically just shake it around, feel free to use your hands, and just mix it all in. Okay? Mix it. You just want to make sure that all the bits are kind of coated in oil, but don't worry, again. Again. Don't worry about even coating perfect because we'll be shaking this around very soon. Okay? Open up your oven and put it in there on a high shelf. There we go. Give your hands a wash. Giving this knife a wash too. Okay. So now we can get on with the sauce. Okay? So just turn on to the highest heat you can bear, really. And then add a little glug of oil, and then feel free to add a bit of seasoning to the oil now. You can do it later, or you can do it now, don't worry. No, you're never too late when it comes to seasoning. Really? There we go. No need for that anymore. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to set the timer to half an hour on this sweet potato, so I don't forget about it. Onions, okay? Just chop the tops off and the bottom off. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions or if I'm not doing it the way you would usually do it yourself. If you have any suggestions of your own, this is just my way of doing it. Not the perfect way, just the way I figured out what works for me. So just chop it in half and then chop it however you want, really. I like kind of ribbons, as I said before. So you can chop it into little chunks, or you can chop it kind of, you see, like this, and just chop it like, you know, against, not in the direction, but against the kind of slice it. So you end up with little bits like that. There you go, like that. That's what you want, the onions, because then it will all break up and form lovely ribbons, which look quite pretty and they taste nice as well. That's just one way of chopping an onion. So red onion goes in, there we go, and then just feel free, put the top on there if you want. Stops the oil from splashing on you if you're worried about that. which I am sometimes, really. And then chop your other onion. Then take off the skin. Ah, yes, there we go. You don't need to use white onions or red onions, just either one will do, really. Another tip, if you're really in a pinch, if you can't find onions, if you can't get onions, you can use spring onions, those also will work. And also leeks will also work quite well as well. So, because they're kind of all from the same family of vegetables. So, they all will work pretty much in the same way. Put in your other onion, or if you've got one big onion, you won't need to be doing what I'm doing here. Get your wooden spoon, give it a nice little stir, and then feel free to keep it on a kind of medium heat there. And that will take probably around 5–10 minutes maybe to completely break down. Alright, so, oh hi Gossamer, thank you for coming. Lovely to see you again. Hope you enjoyed the quiz on Friday. I know I did. Alright, so what those onions are going basically is what I would usually do when you're cooking this stuff. And you're a bit unsure of, like it feels like a lot of things to do, I get that. Basically, you put your oil in on medium-high heat, let that go up to heat, you can hear it, and you can obviously feel the heat. Put your onions in first, let those cook, and then as you're doing that, chop your vegetable and keep putting them in, because obviously the earlier you put them in, the quicker they'll cook. That makes things easier. Obviously, if you wish, you can prepare everything in advance, but that's not what I'm doing today, because I want to show you beginning to end the whole journey, uncut version. Okay? So, try not to waste any of the peppers. Peppers will take longer than onions, by the way, so just something to keep in mind, really. You don't want to chop them too big, really. They'll take a while. Alright, so I've taken the middle out of that, and all the seeds, I just shoved my hand in there like a kind of savage, and I just took out the heart of it. It's one thing you can do. So just slice it downwards in half, and what I'm going to do today, not chunks, I'm going to do little strips of it. So that's one thing you can do, little strips of pepper. And I'm just chucking them in as I chop them up. Again, if I missed any steps, then don't hesitate, jump in and tell me. Obviously, if you're watching the recording of this later, you won't be able to jump in and tell me. But you can comment on it if you want. Send me a message. Stare outside my door in the middle of the night, outside the house. That was a joke, to clarify. So, if you worry you've put too much oil in at the beginning, then don't worry, because we're adding other vegetables here. Because I'm going to add enough pepper, as I said. So I'm basically, here's what I do. I cut the top off. And then, if you really want to, if you're really fed up, you can just rip it to pieces with your hands. Not really chefy kind of conduct, but it does the trick. But again, there's lots of videos of talented chefs who have their own methods online when it comes to preparing vegetables. Again, we're going with ribbons, as I say, kind of strips, long strips of pepper. Okay, there we go. The lid on there. Keeps it out of trouble. And okay, it's a bit quieter in here now. I can actually hear myself think. And I got a few questions from everybody. I got a few questions from you guys earlier, the other day, so earlier in the week. So I'm going to be addressing those in a little bit, telling you kind of, a few answers and tips based on some of the questions that you guys asked. Let's say if you have any more kitchen related questions, send them my way. Send them to @KingsReadyLife on Instagram. And I will try my best to have a look at them. Well, I will have a look at them, obviously. I'll try my best to answer them. There we go. So as I said before, when you're doing this, when you're frying off your vegetables, if they start to stick to the bottom and you're worried, you're thinking, oh, they might burn, then don't worry. Just add a smidgen, teeny bit from your kettle of water, really tiny splash, and mix it around. That helps things. Okay, and feel free, as I did, to just slam the lid on there for a little while. And then, at this point, you can kind of clean up your stuff. Clean up your scraps. Eating your scraps. Okay, so in a little bit, we'll be adding these kidney beans. 10 of those will do. I adapted this from a recipe from the lovely Jamie Oliver, but I'm kind of using less herbs and stuff, and 1 tin of kidney beans rather than 2, keeping it simpler. But again, there's lots of different ways you can do this. There's not many rules in cooking, really. As long as you cook your food properly and don't poison yourself, you'll be okay. Okay, so I'm going to have a little peek at these sweet potatoes to see how they're getting on. Oh yeah, those look good. Oh yes, nice. Okay, so next, or in any order basically, here's a few things you have to do really. Just add a few squidges of tomato puree if you have any. If you don't, then don't worry. Recipes ask for it, but you don't need it. Just a few squidges. Of course, you might think a few squidges, what is that? But to that I say, don't worry, really, genuinely, because it doesn't matter. Just a little bit of tomato flavour. If you taste it later on, you don't like the flavour of it, or if it's not tomatoey enough for you, then add more tomato puree. And just mix that in there. And that's just like a concentrated tomato flavour, so it adds a little bit more, as I say, strength to your mix. So we got our onions, we got our peppers, got a little bit of tomato puree there. If you want, you can also add a little bit of garlic powder, only if you have it. Don't worry about this if you don't have it. If you don't have any garlic or garlic puree, don't worry. I'm just adding that because I fancy like it. I don't fancy it. But again, this is just using what I've got in the fridge, and that is, I'm going to chat about that a little bit later. Using what we have, you know, because I never really I didn't really plan meals meticulously at uni, you know, in my 3 years at uni. I just basically, my meals, I like to joke, was always kind of dependent on what was in the clearance aisle, what was being marked down by the yellow stickers, what was cheapest, really, you know, all the bargains I could get my hands on. So that's what I would always recommend. Always try and get those deals, and I know the deals aren't always there. But also, sometimes, obviously, things that seem cheap in the supermarkets aren't as cheap as they might seem. Ready meals, for example, you pay £4, £3, £2.50, maybe a couple of pounds if they're on offer. But usually, you get, you know, one portion of food, and it's not necessarily as cheap as you kind of, you know, maybe imagine it to be. Okay, I've got some questions here. I'll go to someone that asks, how did you arrange groceries during lockdown? Well, for me, I would, you know, I would basically, personally, I would just do larger shops, you know, that's what I would do. I'd bring a couple of bags and I would load them up. My situation perhaps is a bit different because I had to return home to family in kind of middle of March. So I've been back home since March because this, of course, isn't a residence kitchen. This is back home. I mean, I certainly didn't live in such splendour at uni, to say the least. But in terms of raiding groceries and stuff, I know a lot of people I've spoken to got like food deliveries, but I know that, of course, there was a backlog and a lot of people couldn't quite get deliveries in time. So in response to that, I would say to basically, I know it's awkward, but just try, like, go to the shops that are closest to you, really. You don't need to try to avoid public transport in general, obviously. That's what I always try to do. And, you know, again, stock up. And another point when it comes to shopping is when you buy a certain amount of, try not to buy too much meat. That's what I would say. Try not to buy too much meat. I know we all like, well, I say we all like. I know a lot of us are meat eaters, a lot of us aren't as well. But generally, regardless of your views on all these things and your dietary kind of choices or requirements, it's always good to try and cut out meat as much as you can for the sake of your wallet and for the sake of the environment and food wastage. Because let's say you buy, I don't know, a pack of chicken, pack of pork, pack of beef mince, and by the end of the week, you might still be eating your leftovers from one meal, and you might not get around to cooking the chicken, and the chicken might go off and you have to throw it away. That does happen sometimes, and because you don't want to be eating out-of-date food. So I would say really it helps if you maybe, as I say, have more vegetarian meals in a week, because, as I say, cheaper, easier. Also, buy the basics, and then you can mix and match and do lots of things with them. So, for example, this dish is the basis of tinned tomatoes, and tinned tomatoes are student staple. I mean, they're like the holy grail of basic student cooking, just cooking, really, for me. I use them all the time, and they're pretty healthy for you. You know, they are just tinned tomatoes. Tomatoes aren't too bad for you, really. Everything in moderation, obviously, but there's no added salt. They just are tomatoes in a tin. You chuck them in, and they really are really, really cheap. So, oh, hello, those have just joined. So, as I was saying, tinned tomatoes, stock up on those. I've got lots in the fridge. Sorry, lots in the cupboard, and they're really, really good. They work really well. Adding a little bit more water in there, just to stop the stuff sticking. And then I'm going to slap that lid right on. But yeah, keep the questions coming. I will be answering them as they kind of occur to me. More thoughts will come to me. Also, stir fries are a great way of using your ingredients economically. There we go. So, I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. Now, another little thing, you can add a bit of grated carrot in there. I'm going to do that, except today I'm going to use this little gadget, which is like a pencil sharpener, but for food. Yeah, like a spiralizer, but it's handheld. It cost a couple of pounds, around a £5, I think, maybe less. Simple thing. I like it. But you basically just twist it, and it will create these great spirals for you. And great carrot. Just a good way of adding a bit more nutrients to your food. Also, this works really well in stir fries. Back to the point of stir fries. In your wok, all you basically need is carrot and onion. You know? Maybe mushrooms if you want the carrot and onion mixed with noodles. That is a great stir fry, very simple. And if you have a grater, carrot is cooked even faster. Because you can chop carrot, but obviously it will take ages. It will take quite a long time to cook, and it'll be little chunks. With something like this, you end up, again, with ribbons. So I'm still turning this so you can see. Nice workout. There we go. And you end up, look at this, because I've just twisted it. So you end up with this little. Anyway, don't try that at home. Right. So as you can probably see, we have these strands of carrot. One carrot will do. I didn't even need this one. So there you go. I'm saving it for another day, guys. Okay. Carrot will cook quite quickly, especially with how thin we've made it here. So now comes the stage, really, guys, where you can add some kidney beans, and you don't need to bother with, well, you don't really need to bother with some sort of drainer or whatever, or a sieve, or just crack it open slightly and then pour it. Also, another thing, you don't need to buy cans with pull tabs on like that. It just happened to be that they had them, because usually pull tab cans and tins are more expensive. So usually you'd have ones like this, like that. Like that. Let me compare. So as you can see, the difference to those. Don't worry, you don't need those. But again, I just happen to have one. Good for comparison. We'll be using this lovely tin opener, can opener, in seconds. Tins or cans, I mean, what do you call them? Tins? Cans? Tin cans? I don't know. I think I usually call them tins, but I don't know if that's just a regional thing. I don't know, what do you guys call them? Okay, little bit of carrot chunk. I don't know what to do with that. Eat it probably. So as you can see, I've kind of, if you, let's say, if you opened it with a can opener, you can basically just hold the lid on and then just pour it down the drain or whatever. You can use the liquid in this as an egg white replacement, but I'm not going to do that today. I don't have space in my fridge, to be honest with you. So you get this liquid out of there, gradually shake, 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 shake. Okay. And then feel free, really, just to add those in. There we go. One tin, as I say, that will do the trick. There we go. Okay, so you've got your kidney beans in there, and give them, stir them in. It's all coming together now, guys. Again, this is much faster when you just do it, just step, boom, boom, boom. But I'm just taking it a bit slower so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So right now we have onion, we have peppers, we have carrots, we have a bit of paprika, and kidney beans. Well, did I have paprika in? No, I didn't, did I? I didn't, but I want to. Hello, guys. Okay, so we're cooking, to those who have joined, just to keep up to speed, sweet potato chili, sweet potatoes in the oven, stuff simmering away there, okay? So I'm rooting around in this cupboard for a particular spice that I need. There we go. Paprika, I've got more of it. I love it. Cheap, flavoursome, smokiness, just adds a savoury flavour, which goes so well with sweet potato. A few shapes of that. There you go. However much you want to add, really. There we go. That's done. Okay. And it's not spicy. I mean, it's a spice, but it's not hot. It's kind of smoky, you know? It's that sort of, it almost kind of reminds you of bacon in a way, I feel, you know, that kind of smoky flavour. But of course, this is a vegetarian meal. So it just really enhances, it gives it more body and more, yeah, more of a flavour boost really. So I've got lovely colours in there. We've got the orange carrot, we've got yellow, we've got red, we've got kind of purpley, kind of maroon, kidney beans. Again, chickpeas will work, but kidney beans kind of look really cool in there. Take another bite of your carrot piece. All right, so wait, bear with me a sec. There you go. So chili, okay? How much chili you like, really. Don't know how hot you like it. That'll do. Basically a couple of teaspoons, really. Let's add a bit more, shall we? Okay, let's shut it away. It's too dangerous. Okay, it's out. Mix that in. There we go. It's getting warm in here. Okay. As you can see. It's starting to heat up. With the added chili. So yeah, it's definitely warm in here, I can tell you. But yeah, so That's all simmering away. A couple of these. Tin opener, your can opener, and just chuck them in there. And the other one. There we go. And 2. There you are. Feel free to swish a little bit of water around between these two, and then you've got yourself. You're just reducing the waste really, and also clean these out. So it's a win-win. Put that in there. There we go. Put these out. There we go. There. Boom, boom. Okay. So it's quite full now. Okay. There we go. Again, these are novelty. I'm not completely insane. It was just for a short joke. You know, I'm going to take these off anyway. This isn't like, you know. Anyway, yeah, it's hot in here. There you go. These are gone now. Right, back to normal. If it were ever so. So, if you've got tins of a whole kind of tomatoes, another thing just to mention, you can use whole tin tomatoes or chopped tin tomatoes. I would recommend using whole chopped tomatoes just because they're more flavours. And obviously it's not going to be maybe necessarily as smooth, but it doesn't need to be a smooth sauce. It's a kind of chunky sauce. That's the appeal of it, you know? All these nice bits of kind of pepper and tomato and carrot and all that really just ensures you've got a lovely flavoursome kind of flavoursome meal. So just break it up with a spatula. If you've got one that does the trick quite well. But we can break these up later. Don't worry about it at this stage, guys. So, that was half an hour on the sweet potato. Probably overdue that I check it, really. Oh, there you go. Look at that. You can hear it hissing. So, as you can kind of see, rounding around the edges. That's what you want. You want it to be nice and crispy. In fact, it doesn't really even matter if you burn it, because, so don't worry if you overcook it, because we're going to be mixing it all in together. It just releases all the sweetness, really. So feel free to just mix it around again, guys. Also stop it from sticking if you mix it around. And you can chuck it back in for longer. These will be ready really now, but I want them a little bit crispier on the outside. So let me show you without burning my hands. There we go. You can see that crispiness on the edge. And it's kind of squidgy. Let me illustrate that for you. There you go. It kind of squidges, and it would not do that obviously right at the beginning. Oh my gosh, and it's spicy. Oh, I think I overdid it with chili powder for those. Oh my gosh, that's a kick. I have to say, it lives up to his name as Chilli. Yeah, but again, your mileage may vary, as they say. I'm going to put these back in. Right, there we go. Back in. I put them in the top shelf. You can put them down in the middle shelf if you want. If you're worried about them burning. Have you taste a bit of that? Sweet potato is cooked when it's kind of almost gooier and soft on the inside. Kind of resembles, sorry, kind of resembles, not carrots, but more like a potato, you know, in many ways, kind of that sort of softer inside. Oh my gosh, I'm not joking, this isn't nice, it's quite spicy. Okay, so as you can see, hi Lauren, we have the sauce, all its bits in there. If you don't want to keep an eye on it on the hob like this, you can put it in the oven if you want, really. But I'm going to keep it on the hob for now, because if you put it in the oven with the lid on, obviously it's going to also kind of create more liquid. It's going to take longer to reduce down to a thicker sauce. But when you have the lid off, more evaporation, sauce cooks faster. And dries up, yeah? So, still here, okay? Let's put 15 more minutes for now on that sweet potato. Just to show, you can add more tomato paste at pretty much any time, if you want to. So I just fancied it, chucked it in there. And we'll need a paprika. Well, folks, so let's say again, if you don't have other questions, fire away. That's on a medium heat, by the way. You just want it to be simmering a bit. So I'm going to get up notes of a few little questions that you guys submitted the other day. Here we go. So, return to the stir fry thing. I would recommend those stir fry bags that you get for under £1, which have, you know, chopped up carrots and chopped up peppers and mushrooms and things in them, and stir fry vegetable bags, because you just put them straight in the wok. About 10 minutes. I mean, it's just 3, but about 10 minutes. Bit of oil, noodles, done. Noodles you can just like boil in a pan or microwave. Very simple. But if one thing with the stir fry bag, just as a warning, they usually have bean sprouts in them. Bean sprouts aren't really the sort of thing you want to reheat. You shouldn't really reheat them. It's kind of, they're one of those things, they're no good for reheat. That's bean sprouts. You can cook them once and eat them fresh, that's great. Eat them cold, great. But don't reheat them. So my tip would be, if you want a stir fry, you can reheat and stuff and make in batch and whatever, and you know, leftovers and stuff like that. You want hot, for example, then carrots, let's say, onions, mushrooms, if you're, maybe peppers if you're feeling really fancy. But basically, carrot and onions, as I say, chop them up, fry them off with your noodles. Cabbage, also quite nice. What else? What else am I thinking of? Carrots, onions, mushroom, cabbage. I mean, also you can add. What am I thinking of? I've got a blank here. Oh yeah. Another thing you can also kind of add to it, if you want a bit of extra sort of kind of flavour, is obviously soy sauce. Soy sauce is the basis of stir fries. Chili powder. Use the powders are the cheap way. Chili powder, pig powder, all those powders you can get from all the supermarkets. That's a really cheap way of adding flavour to your food. Use as much or as you want. Of course, you can use fresh herbs and all that stuff when you're cooking. But the thing about fresh herbs is, obviously they can go off, they can kind of wither and stuff. And if you can use them all the time, that's great. It's fantastic. Occasionally, I'll get them if they're on offer, but powders are the way to go because there's powders that I've had in my fridge for so long, and they're still fine. They're okay. They're not as strong, but the point is you can reuse them, and there's no health repercussions. It's perfectly safe, as I say. And they work well, you know, and that flavour that you need. So at this point, we've still got a lot of liquid here. Basically, the game of this is you don't need it to reduce for ages and ages and ages, because we're going to add in sweet potato, and that's the crucial part. We're going to add in the sweet potato, and that will absorb lots of the liquid. And if you're eating this with rice, in sort of a kind of Mexican style, South American, then perhaps, if you wish, then you know you want to. Rice is good. I mean, you can have a couscous, pasta. Not so sure about pasta, but also, don't be afraid to buy stuff from the frozen aisle. Frozen peas, frozen sweet corn, frozen anything. Frozen vegetables are really handy. Frozen berries, great way of making smoothies. Now, I made cauliflower cheese the other week, and one thing I've been told a lot, and I know people have used it, and I would really recommend if you think cauliflower is so expensive, because it can be sometimes. Buy frozen cauliflower florets. Bag of them works out cheaper, often than fresh cauliflower, and tastes just as good. If you want frozen cauliflower and you want to make that into cauliflower cheese, all you need to do is get your cauliflower, frozen cauliflower, put it in the oven, roast it, as I showed you before, 10 minutes if you want. Chuck your sauce on it that you made, and then heat it for, well, half an hour or so, a little bit longer maybe than my recipe from the other week, because of course if it's frozen, it takes a little while longer, but it's cheap. And I was just saying, just don't be afraid of the freezer section. You know? That's what I say to you. So I decided to use a smaller pan today, smaller kind of saucepan for cooking this in. That means there's a bit of mild peril here. I have to be a bit more careful with how I'm squishing it around. That's why I would just say as a tip, try and grab a larger pan if you can. The largest one you can kind of feel comfortable using. Okay? But yeah, that was in response to the questions so far. I had a few suggestions on recipes as well. But let me know, what do you want me to do in future weeks? So I've got biscuits lined up. What else do I have? Biscuits, stews as well. Something I'm going to kind of cover in a future week. Also, spend a little while on some more cakes, because I know that you guys enjoyed the lemon drizzle cake from a few weeks back. I mean, I certainly did. But yeah, as I say, let me know if there's any other things you want to see next Sunday, future Sundays, any questions, and I will answer them send me a direct message and I will answer you. Might not always be the answer you were looking for, but it will be an answer. So, at this point, feel free to put a bit of music on. I mean, I would have put music on earlier, really. Let's put some music on. Alexa, play jazz, dining room jazz, please. Alexa, play dinner party jazz playlist on shuffle. Okay, got a bit of music, bit of ambience. I don't know about you guys, but I like a bit of music when I'm cooking. Or I just talk into thin air. That also works out quite well too. Yeah, I can do it right now. I mean, not even with the camera, just with myself and the wall. Again, this dish can take like 45 minutes beginning to end. I'm not going to be using this tonight because I had the food earlier. So I'm going to refrigerate this, use it for leftovers. If you have pastry, another tip, if you have pastry in the fridge, cost a pound, own brand, particularly short crust, you can make kind of lovely, not Cornish, I mean they're so far removed from Cornwall, but a kind of vegetable parcel. That's another great meal idea. If you're looking for meal ideas, you make this, you're like, oh, I've made so much of it, what do I do, you know? You've had it with rice, you've had it, I don't know, on a baked potato. What else can I do? Well, in a sandwich, I don't know, on toast, and after you've exhausted all those suggestions, then wrap it in pastry. Most leftovers, you can wrap them in pastry, and they taste pretty good. Good rule of thumb there, really. On a couple of occasions, I've made this meal, and I've let it cool down, and I've drained the sauce sometimes and use it separately. And you kind of get the main vegetables and put those, like you saw me with the leek parcels a couple of weeks ago, put those in pastry, bits of pastry, around half an hour in the oven, and you've got lovely vegetable parcels. Okay. So, as I say, we are getting on with this at the moment. I'm still on here for questions, I'm still on here for chat, and just to say, check out my experience and stuff, and answer any questions, taking suggestions. Instagram's about to kick me off in a second, okay? But stay around, because I'll be coming back literally really soon, okay? And I mean really soon. So don't go away, guys, okay? Technology's trying to hold me down. All right, I'll see you in a bit. Hello again, it's me. As promised, back again, because Instagram kicked me out. So I didn't just abandon you guys. Hello to those joining, to those returning. I have to show you the end of this dish, because otherwise you might think me a fraud. Because, oh, well, I didn't show you the full thing. So that is that's what I'm going to show you. Okay, the end of this dish. So after about 45 minutes, pretty much beginning to end, really. Obviously, this took longer, about 45 minutes of sweet potato cooking and the sauce simmering. In total, you know, you have your meal. Okay, so it might look quite liquidy, but all the flavour has simmered and gone into this dish at this point. So when you put your spoon through, you can see all the lovely peppers, and let me illustrate this. take a scoop out, shall we? Let's show you. Okay, so hello guys, thanks for dropping back. Okay, so just to show you, it might not look very beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder after all. But what you want is you want a bit of liquid there still. As you can see around the edge, you want a bit of liquid to be absorbed by the sweet potato, crispy sweet potato. And you want these kidney beans to be soft. So soft that when you press them, they kind of become all squidgy. Try one, and they're kind of creamy. They're cooked. Now, just try each little bit. You'll know it's cooked, you'll know it's done. And those chunks of tomato, they really have all that flavour, all that paprika, that pepper, that chilli. Same goes for the peppers. The peppers, when you cook them, almost taste like lovely ribbons of tomato. Skinned on, lovely and juicy. And you can pretty much stop there if you want, really. It's up to you. At this point, a kind of cut an inch or two of the sauce has been kind of evaporated from the top, and you've got, let's say, a thicker, still watery, but it's flavoured liquid, flavoured kind of almost sauce, kind of brothy, and then you can add your sweet potato into it. So, for the sake of the recording, let me show you what it looks like. There you go. See that? Okay. So that's what you want pretty much. There we go. Top that up a sec. That's better. So, and also the sauce turned darker as well, and it almost has a greater viscosity basically. But long story short, try it. If it tastes good, be happy, and it will taste good if you basically follow the gist of what I have done here. Obviously, you can add whatever you want to it to pimp it up. This is the basic. All you need, as I say, summarise: sweet potato. I mean, you can use carrots, swedes, whatever. Sweet potato you can find. Sweet potato, pepper, onion, and then your kidney beans or any other bean or pulse, and then your tinned tomatoes. 5 main ingredients. The spices are basically chilli and paprika. If you don't have paprika, don't worry, chilli. That's what you want for the spice. Because if you don't have chilli in your chili, then you can't call it a chili. Okay? You get me? So yeah, that's silkier now. That sweet potato, long overdue, it's just chilling in there. Well, not chilling, hardly. But as we can see here, it is nicely cooked. And as I said to you, you want it to be brown, browner. What you don't want, really, is it to be all shiny and oily. As I said before, you don't need too much oil on this. You want it so that's done. Now, this dish can basically be called complete. So, you go. That's spicy though, let me tell you. Heavy spice. Note to self, don't add as much chili in next time. Yeah, a teaspoon or two will do you very well. As I say, feel free, turn it off, turn your oven off, enjoy that tranquility, undisturbed. Let me show you these. So as you can see, that's what you want, okay? Good. Show you. That's really packed with the spice. There you go. So those are roasted sweet potato, around 55 minutes, but 45 pretty much is the gold standard. Half an hour is good, but 45 minutes at fan 180 or 200 degrees at non-fan 7, that is what you want, okay? That's what you want. Because when you break it in half, you have that kind of gooiness in there. Oh yes, that's what you want. You see that? Might not look the most appetizing, but trust me, it tastes good. That crispiness is what you want. So all that remains to be done, folks, is to mix together your dry, pretty much, and your wet components. Okay, thanks for the questions that you've been sending my way. So thank you for the feedback, and just I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself, and I hope that you've been learning a little bit from this. I mean, I have. It's been trial and error, and it's been great hearing your own experiences in the kitchen and your own better laugh, you know. It's been great fun. So let me show you again, shall I? Now I've turned this off, you can kind of see that you've got that skin on the top. It's got a film where it's there we go. You see that there? And undisturbed, you've got a kind of thicker. It's just shiny. It's shiny. That's what it is. And you want to add sweet potato into that. But anyway, enough talk. Let's do it. Limber up. Oh my gosh, my shoulders are tight. Oh, sorry. I'm doing walking a fair amount today, so oh my gosh. Anyway, hope you're all keeping fit and keeping well wherever you are in the world. And I know you're from all over the world, aren't you? Okay? Got loads of people everywhere. And the offer holders as well, those of you guys in particular who are coming to King's and watching this, or have been and watched and had a chat or whatever, and you have any questions about student life, about life in halls, life in residences, just life in London, life, you know, in King's as a student or whatever, send them my way. Grace, Fran, with some CF team. So again, we're here for you guys to bridge that gap, to help you feel a bit more prepared, a bit more assured. Okay? Look at that. what flavour looks like. Anyway. Get that. And just pour it. Just kind of. Just push it in there. Oh yeah. That's nice. That's good. So. There we go. Now, let me grip this. I just want to show it to you. There you go. So we're going to mix those in together there. Let me put my head on it. There we go. You see that? That's what we want. You got all those dry bits, nice and crispy, and then we're going to mix that in with the nice sauce there. And it might not be the most attractive thing, but it's what's inside that counts, as they say. It certainly has it packing in flavour. You know, it's almost like one of those dishes you look at, you think that's not really much going on there. That's not that exciting. You know, it's a bit bland and kind of orangey and kind of monotone, but you dig into it and it's got bundles of flavour. And if you're bored of the same old tomato sauce dishes, try this. Your sweet potato. It will really enhance your cooking. Oh, sorry, just a stretch in there. So mix it up, really. That's pretty much what you want to do. Mix it up a little bit. Let it be coated, and let the sweet potato just bathe in that sauce. Oh yeah. And you got those nice crispy bits in there. Okay. So that is the end result. There you go. Look at that. And for you guys, they're, as I say, not super attractive, but it's got it where it counts. All those nice crispy bits, that nice sauce being soaked up there, and you just want to smell is delicious. So, if you got yourself a big spoon, then get yourself a plate, a bowl, whatever you fancy, and get yourself a couple of nice spoonfuls. And don't forget to get the nice crispy bits, sweet potato, sauce, nice. Yeah. So, there we go, look at that. That, all the bits. This is sweet potato chili. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the questions. Keep them my way. But we've pretty much reached the conclusion. Yeah. And actually, we've been nattering on for a bit less than usual, so call this prompt. But yeah, thank you so much. Again, for tuning in. Leftovers, pastry, toast, in a wrap. I don't know, anything really. In an omelette, as I say. Omelette sounds crazy, but pretty much you can use this in most things. And send me your own suggestions as well. But yeah, this is sweet potato chili. So take care, everybody, okay? And have a lovely rest of your Sunday. Keep those questions coming, keep those suggestions coming, and keep the feedback coming, however brutal it may be. All right, so it's been a pleasure as always. Thanks for dealing with my wackiness as always. You're great, okay? So I'm going to be serving this up. Probably a little bit of an evening snack for the family, actually, because I'm a bit peckish now. Don't know about you, I'm a bit peckish. Okay, so let's dig in and say again, take care of yourselves, folks. Best wishes. Bye-bye. There we go. So, take care, everybody. If you have any questions, suggestions, no matter how long it is, I mean, I'll see them. So, send them my way. Okay. Take care of yourself. Recipe should be in the description, and Instagram, on the bio, all that jazz. So, hope you've enjoyed this recipe. You can skip through the blabbering parts, but that's pretty much it. But that bowl of unremarkable orange packs a punch. So, if you're a bit unsure, don't be. Go for it, okay? Motivation, go for it, do it. 45 minutes tops, pretty much. Hour of you with the cleaning up, and you've got yourself a lovely meal, okay? So we're going to tuck into this and wish you all a lovely weekend. All right, so bye-bye.